Hi guys, welcome back to the Acoustic Shop channel, your official source for everything acoustic. I'm here with the acoustic guitar expert, John Chapman, and you got me on the mandolin. We're going to be talking about the newer Bourgeois M5A. This is the Blacktop. This is a brand new
edition. It's a
new edition.
Blacktop edition.
We're going to tell you what all the specs are on this mandolin, a little bit of the history of it. We're going to rate it among other instruments in its like category, let you know what we think, how it stacks against the competition.
Might even give you a tone sample, maybe.
At the very end, we'll give you a tone sample, all ahead in this video. All right, John, very excited to be back here for another cool exclusive new edition thing. Before we jump into all the details of this, if you guys haven't already done so, please like and subscribe to this channel. You know the drill. It really helps us grow the channel and grow our audience, and we appreciate that so much. It makes us want to keep doing these videos.
Hit the bell, do the thumb, do the comments, the share
with other
do
people.
them all. Just hit all those buttons.
Just interact with us, guys. We're lonely over here. Now, the M5A is a mandolin that Bourgeois, it was the collaboration with Eastman to come up with this. Dana Bourgeois for years had wanted to do a mandolin.
Yep.
Finally, he got the opportunity when they teamed up with Eastman and there was a partnership in the businesses. Dana had plans all along for what he would build in a mandolin, and it was the M5A. It was the first prototype, the first attempt at it, and it's an all torrefied maple back and sides, torrefied Adirondack spruce top, a slightly wider nut than normal, radius fretboard. The things Dana really wanted, and then it did so well that they're planning on an F-style version.
Yeah, you get your black. But here's the deal. This is like all of the video games that you get out here. This is the black edition. This is like the limited special edition.
There's some historic precedent for mandolins having black top and guitars.
Yeah.
Gibson did it for way early 20s. There's a lot of actually before that, some of the early Orville Gibson mandolins that he built personally have the black top on them. So long history of black top mandolins. My first mandolin, my first pro level mandolin, I had a kind of a beginner one before that, but Dad bought me a flat iron with a black top on it, and that was one of my favorite ones. I was so excited because Dan Tominski also had one, which made me feel very cool when he was touring with Lonesome Rare Band. So not out of the ordinary to have that, and then for Dana to do this on this M5A, I thought was really cool.
And it's also a popular one. A lot of people who follow mandolins know that Collings also did this with their A-style mandolin, and their F-style mandolin had a black top edition. And this is actually a thing that a lot of people love, the look of blacked out guitars, mandolins, banjos. We're seeing that even in the heads of banjos lately. It's just a look and a character. What I like about this particular one is the add-on of this back and sides color. I think that's what kind of added to it. And we've had some blowback on the standard M5A.
The M5A is pretty much an unfinished or like untinted.
A blonde.
It is the torrefication of the wood gives a real honey blonde appearance to it. So it's very, I guess not very traditional in the look of it, but very attractive because torrefication really brings out a lot of that sparkle in the wood grain and a lot of the stripe in the maple. Same on this, but it's just a little bit darker of a finish on it, which looks better. I think it would look a little odd to have that real honey burst with the black top. So I think that was a good combination. So we'll jump right into the specs. We've talked a little bit about it, but we'll kind of get into the more details, the nitty gritty, if you will, and I will.
All right.
It has a street price of $23.99. Obviously, this is the A style, so it doesn't have the scroll and points. It comes with an Adirondack spruce top, which is torrefied or aged, as well as an age-toned maple back and sides,
let's
European maple.
For a second. The aged tone is Bourgeois' way of saying that they are doing a torrefied. So anytime you see anything with a Bourgeois thing that says aged tone, that means they have torrefied it or thermo-cured it.
And so the cool thing about this is all the wood on it is torrefied or aged tone. So that'd be the aged tone Adirondack spruce top, the European maple back and sides, as well as the European maple neck on this is torrefied. So everything on it, the wood is all kind of pre-aged and has that really open tone to it. It does have an ebony head plate on it with a really cool Bourgeois logo on there. Mother of pearl, beautiful looking logo. It has ivoroid binding, a 3-ply binding with the ivoroid black ivoroid. Looks really attractive again with that black top on there. It's got the ebony bridge and fingerboard, obviously the adjustable bridge on there, and the James tailpiece comes standard with the Bourgeois logo etched into that as well. One of our favorite tailpieces on there. It comes with a hard shell case, a one-way truss rod in the neck on this, which is standard with Eastman. A slightly wider nut. It does have a bone nut on this one. with the Waverly Golden Age satin tuners, which look very attractive. Those are beautiful looking tuners on there, very classy. High gloss finish overall on the mandolin, using that true tone finish that Dana Bourgeois developed. Like I said earlier, deluxe rectangular case, hardshell case. The neck profile's a bit of a standard V, I guess you would call this. I don't know if that's as defined as it is on a guitar. It's pretty, mandolins are so small anyway. But like I was mentioning, the nut width is 1 5/32. So I think it's 1 1/32 for the standard Eastman or like the F9 or F5G.
I have no idea.
So it's that wider nut that I prefer. And that scale length at 13 7/8 inches. So standard scale length on that as well. Just a really good sounding mandolin. No pickup pre-installed on these. If you want one, you can always install an aftermarket pickup. But we've talked about the M5A quite a bit in another video. I'm a big fan of them. I think they're doing a great job, especially for something that Dana's been thinking about doing for so long. Finally gets the chance to have it built by a facility. We're big fans of Eastman, how well they voice the tops and hand carve the tops and backs. So they're taking that to the next level, I think, with these Bourgeois mandolins.
Now, one thing I think we noticed in reviewing this, when you did this, and I think we didn't get it done on the last one that you did, the standard M5A, but we did it with this one. We're noticing with this longer headstock shape that it's leaving more space between the tuners and the nut, thus giving us a little bit of those overtones. So you put some of those suppressors on there, which I think we'll end up having here at the shop sometime soon, and we may be pre-installing those.
And I normally put them
on the back.
in the tailpiece, but those James tailpieces are behind the bridge there. James tailpieces kind of have those
Good job
built into there, so it kills a lot of that anyway. But yeah, this one, when I was playing it earlier, it has a lot of that.
I think it's due to that slightly longer space than the standard peg head of like a Gibson or something of that nature. So
Yeah, and I know in the studio on all my mandolins, I would always either do that or even just put some masking tape on there because you always get that overtone. So if you guys are seeing those little dots up there, that's all that is. We added those just to kind of keep that from tinging a little bit past the nut.
So this instrument, you know, I think what we've discovered here is this is kind of falling in a sweet spot here. This is definitely an upgrade from our standard Eastmans, even the upper end ones. Even though it's coming out of that same facility, they've definitely come up with new specs, giving you much higher grade stuff, especially with the quality of parts. So to me, this is kind of a mandolin for an upgrade. It's not quite to the master build stuff of like the Gibsons and some of those boutique small build. But yet, doing this at a price point that,
like you said, it's filled a void in the market where there was kind of this gap between maybe the upper end Eastman, some of the Northfields, where there was just a gap in price, and all of a sudden to get into that next level, it jumped up $3,000 or $4,000. This is kind of falling right there in the middle, and in an A style, you're getting some extra oomph for your money without all the extra costs of building the scrolls and points. So I think this is for the player that is a professional player, a semi-pro, or somebody that just knows that they really love the mandolin and they're going to stick with it for a while and can make a slight investment on it without breaking the bank, but still getting a professional grade instrument on this.
There you go.
And I played some mandolins at $4,000 and $5,000 that I think this definitely holds its own with. So
There you go.
I think it fills that market gap.
Tone-wise, what are you thinking here? What does this compare to you? To me, we were talking about this the other day. I think this compares very favorably to the Collings mandolins.
Yep.
I think the tone that they were kind of going after, very, very similar, has a little bit more depth, but also a lot of clarity.
Yeah, I would agree. Dana, it's interesting that this does have a slightly different tone than an Eastman will, even though it's built in the same facilities. I think the torrefication of all of the pieces of wood make a big difference there. The upgraded hardware, we know that a better tailpiece does affect the tone of an instrument. Even the tuners, a little bit extra mass on the headstock, and maybe that slightly larger headstock's having some effect too. But it does have just a fuller, like I said, very, very similar to the Collings sound, where it's a tight clarity to it. It's not real woofy. I think Gibsons have a lot more low end and deepness to them.
Yeah,
but this has a lot more of the balance all the way up the neck. Very poppy.
There you go. Any of the kind of things that you find to be kind of things that you may not like about this mandolin?
I mean, obviously, we've talked about this in the past. I am coming from that bluegrass tradition where I'm used to the F-style body. The headstock, a little bit more of a traditional headstock on there, which this has a cool, attractive looking one, a little bit different, like I said, slightly extended one. I'd say maybe just that I'm more used to the traditional looks and appointments, but that's just a personal preference. That's
I think
really
we're
not a
going
knock
to
on the
hear the
instrument.
most grief of, which we already heard on the standard one, which is color. These are not traditional colors. I mean, yes, it is traditional, but it is different. You may love or hate the blacktop. You may love the natural blonde.
Blacktop definitely shows a lot of fingerprints very
Fingerprints.
easily.
There you go.
So-
There's something to not like about it.
So keep your polishing rag close by at all times. I really don't have much more to say as far as negatives, other than if you're not a fan of the blacktop, you're probably not going to like that so much.
There you go. So let's get into our ratings then. Let's go ahead and jump into that. What do you think on a scale of 1 to 5? Tone.
Tone, I'm going to give this in its price range, and again, we do these ratings on like price ranges. I'm going to give this one a 5. I think this one is particular. And I played a number of them, but this one just, this is brand new, and it sounds like an aged, open mandolin. Very clear, very crisp. I'm going to give this one a 5 personally.
Good. I have a hard time going all the way to 5, just because. But you know what? You're pretty close. So 4.5.
Okay.
I'm gonna just do it because I want to leave myself some space.
You're
So.
smart doing that.
Anyway,
never know
setup
what's
and
around the corner.
playability. This is where I played this one earlier. I'm gonna go with a 5 on this because I do think they went and spent the extra time to make sure it was set up just right. This is coming back into the Bourgeois factory and making sure that it is right before it ships out. So.
Yeah. I'll give this a 5 as well. This is exactly where I would set it up. I know some bluegrass players that have a heavier hand that might want a little higher action, but for me, this is right where it should be. And thinking back to where I had one negative, I still would like more mandolin players to put a dual truss rod in the neck, because there have been times when you give it all the relief, or you let loose of the nut, and it's still not giving it the relief that it needs. So that would be my one knock, is I wish they would put even though it's a short neck, I still think we need that dual action truss rod.
Be nice.
But set up right now, it's in excellent condition, so I
you go.
would say a 5 as well.
Build quality.
Again,
It's clean.
Yeah, in like price range, there's nothing out there
Especially with
that's
all
better
the
than
part
this.
upgrades with the tuners and the James tailpiece.
Finish is just
Yeah,
excellent on
I
it.
think it's really great. So I'm gonna go with a 4.5 on this one.
I'm gonna go with a 5 because
All right.
I'm comparing it to other
Do it.
mandolins in this price,
Do
and
it.
there's nothing better.
The looks.
So
How about
this
aesthetics?
is getting a good rating for me.
Yeah, it is.
Looks and aesthetics, that is going to be your personal preference. I'm going to give this one a 4, and that's just because of the traditional look and feel of a mandolin that I'm used to, that sunburst. Overall, I like it a lot, but I'm going to give it a 4.
There you go. I would probably also do it. I actually I like the look of this one. If I were actually to choose, this is the one that I would. So I like the look. I'm gonna go with a 4.5 one more time.
Well, that's getting a good score so far.
Yeah, it is.
And then the Shoppe Sustainable, we know that Eastman does source their wood through some wood distributors that do not allow clear-cut forestry. They kind of fit that NFC,
I think
one of those.
it's one of the MF.
The National
Federal
Association for
Trade of-
Forestry, yes.
Yes. Anyway.
But anyway, yes, they do hold up to that standard, so we kind of set that as our benchmark. So it does win the Shoppe Sustainable. We will plant 1 tree for each one of these
there you
planted.
go. And in overall value, what do you think? Scale of 1 to 5.
I think this is hitting a home run right here.
This is
'cause
where I will agree. I will go with a full-on 5 for this. I think that at this price point, you're going to have a hard time finding much more mandolin at the $2,400 price point.
I agree. For the build quality, the tone, the playability, I know some people are going to say, well, it's still an import mandolin. Why did you spend that much? You're not going to find a U.S. built one even close in this price range, and you're not going to find an import one that plays anywhere near this. So in this category, I'll give this a 5 for overall value.
Well, what we're going to do right now is get you guys a little bit of a tone sample. Jeremy's going to play it for you, and then we'll be right back after that.
Well, I hope you liked the sound of that as much as I did. Let us know in the comments what you guys thought of the tone overall and our classification. Did you agree or disagree with where we rated this mandolin? And if you enjoyed that, we also got a sneak peek of the F-style mandolin. We got it shipped here before anyone else did, got a chance to review it. They, at the time of the filming, were not available. But if you guys want to check that out, click on that thumbnail that Hinckley has placed right here on the video and check out the M5F, the
Still right
F-style
here.
version of that.